A 95-pound English bulldog vanished into the shadows every single night for 4 months straight, and his family had no clue where he went. His owners would wake up at sunrise to find him sprawled on the doormat, completely drained, covered in mud with scratches on his wrinkled face and dirt smeared across his chest. They tried tracking him. They tried barricading the doggy door. Nothing stopped him. And then one night, everything they believed about this stubborn, snoring couch potato shattered in the most heartbreaking, most inspiring way imaginable. This is Winston, and this is the story of a hero nobody saw coming until it was almost too late. Winston wasn't always an enigma. He was a burden first. His original owner, a woman named Carol from the outskirts of Portland, adopted him as a wrinkly pup, hoping for a loyal companion. And Winston delivered loyalty, but with zero grace. By age 4, Winston was 95 pounds of pure determination, wrapped in rolls of skin, a fawn coat that collected every speck of dirt within a mile radius, and eyes that judged your life choices from across the room. He didn't run to greet visitors. He waddled, slowly. Very slowly. He positioned himself wherever the most inconvenient spot was, usually right in the doorway, snoring like a freight train. Carol's friends started calling before visiting. "Is Winston blocking the hallway again?" one of them texted. But Carol wasn't amused anymore. Winston's stubbornness wasn't charming, it was exhausting. She couldn't vacuum without him refusing to move. Her guests literally stepped over him because he wouldn't budge. Her husband tripped over Winston 3 times in 1 week. So Carol made a choice that would haunt her for years. She drove Winston to a rescue shelter across town and surrendered him without a second glance. The shelter staff knew Winston wasn't going to fly off the adoption board. He was overweight, he was stubborn, and when potential families walked past his kennel, Winston didn't jump or wag his stumpy tail like the other dogs. He just lay there, flat as a pancake, wheezing slightly, giving you a look that said, "You're interrupting my nap." But then, Jake and Emma showed up. They weren't hunting for a lapdog, they were searching for a companion. The young couple had just purchased a cottage on 15 acres of wooded property in rural Oregon, surrounded by wilderness, miles from the nearest neighbor, and they'd heard whispers. Whispers about wild animals prowling at night, whispers about foxes, whispers about something bigger moving through the brush after dark that locals didn't want to name. They needed a presence, and when they spotted Winston lying in that kennel like a furry speed bump, completely unbothered by the chaos around him, they knew. "We'll take him," Emma said. The shelter volunteer hesitated. His previous owner gave him up because he's impossibly stubborn. He doesn't listen, he barely moves. "Are you certain?" Jake looked at Winston. Winston farted and closed his eyes. "We're certain," Jake replied. Winston arrived home that Thursday, but he wasn't your typical dog. He didn't jump on furniture, he didn't beg for belly rubs, he didn't follow them around seeking attention. Winston had discovered something, and affection wasn't his priority. During daylight hours, he'd patrol the property at his own glacial pace, sniffing every tree stump, every fence post, his saggy face scanning the forest line like a general surveying a battlefield. At night, he'd plant himself on the porch, motionless as a statue, staring into the blackness for hours. And then the vanishing acts began. 5 weeks after adoption, Emma woke up at 3:12 a.m. for water. She glanced through the window and noticed something off. Winston wasn't on the porch. She checked the front door, secured. The back door locked tight, but Winston was gone. At 6:28 a.m., just as dawn painted the sky orange, Emma heard the unmistakable sound of heavy breathing and dragging paws on wood. She opened the door, and there was Winston, gasping for air, mud caked into every wrinkle of his face, scratches across his shoulder, limping slightly, exhausted beyond belief. "Where on earth were you?" Emma whispered. Winston dragged himself past her, lapped up 2 bowls of water, and collapsed like a sack of potatoes.
I see you haven't subscribed yet, and honestly, that stings a little. Subscribing means everything to me and helps us share more incredible stories like Winston's. Smash that button right now because what unfolds next will flip everything you thought you understood about courage. It happened again the following night, and the night after that, and every single night after that. Every night, Winston disappeared sometime between midnight and 4 a.m., and every single morning he returned at first light, looking like he'd survived a battle. Jake and Emma tried everything imaginable. They set up motion sensors, but Winston somehow avoided every single one. They tried locking him in the bedroom, but he'd whine and scratch and bulldoze the door until they couldn't bear it anymore. They tried following him, but the instant they stepped outside, Winston would freeze solid and refuse to take another step until they retreated inside. "He's guarding something," Emma said one morning, gently touching a fresh wound on Winston's droopy cheek. "He's not running away, he's on duty." Jake wasn't convinced. Guarding what? There's nothing out there except trees and maybe some raccoons. But Emma understood dogs, especially bulldogs. English bulldogs weren't athletes. They were bred as ancient bull-baiting dogs, fearless fighters who'd face down creatures twice their size without flinching. Winston wasn't being difficult, he was following 400 years of genetic programming telling him to protect at all costs. Still, it terrified them. The injuries were multiplying. Winston was dropping weight. His paws were raw and bleeding. Whatever mission he was on out there, it was destroying him physically. 4 months crawled by, 4 months of restless nights and early mornings discovering Winston barely conscious on the doorstep. And then one night, everything exploded into focus. It was 11:52 p.m. when they heard it. Crying, high-pitched, desperate crying, coming closer. Jake grabbed a flashlight and rushed outside. A small girl, maybe 7 years old, barefoot and sobbing, stumbling through their yard. Winston. He materialized from the darkness like a tank on a mission, positioning himself between the child and the forest, growling, not at the girl, but at something behind her in the shadows. Emma ran out. "Oh my God, sweetie, are you okay?" The girl pointed back toward the woods. "The bad man, he tried to take me. Winston saved me. He keeps saving me." The police arrived within minutes. They found a man attempting to flee through the forest. He'd been camping illegally on neighboring property for months, watching, waiting. Winston had been intercepting him every single night, driving him back, keeping him away from the surrounding homes where children lived. At the police station, an officer showed Jake and Emma surveillance footage from a nearby trail camera. Months of footage. Winston, night after night, patrolling a 2-mile radius, positioning himself between danger and innocent people, fighting off threats, alone. The veterinarian examined Winston the next day. "He's been doing this for months, hasn't he? This dog has been protecting an entire community by himself." Emma wrapped her arms around Winston's thick, wrinkled neck. "This was your purpose the entire time, wasn't it?" Winston leaned his massive head against her chest and sighed that deep bulldog sigh. Because bravery doesn't look fast. Sometimes it waddles. Winston wasn't lazy. He was committed. If this story touched your heart, what's your take? Are bulldogs underestimated heroes or just lucky couch potatoes? Drop your thoughts below.